While millions of people are losing their minds over a scoreboard, painting their faces in war paint, and feeling emotionally crushed because a group of athletes they've never met lost a game. There is a massive and often silent group of people who just don't care. And if you're one of them, neuroscience suggests your brain might actually be wired in a fundamentally different way. Stay with me because what we're about to dive into will completely change how you view the sports-obsessed people in your life, and more importantly, how you view yourself. Here is the truth that rarely gets discussed. Not caring about sports doesn't make you boring. It doesn't mean you lack a competitive edge, and it certainly doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. There's a fascinating psychological mechanism happening in your head that sets you apart from the 60% of the population who follow sports religiously. Let's start with the why. Why do so many people care so deeply? Humans are, at our core, tribal creatures. For thousands of years, belonging to a group was a survival requirement. Your tribe protected you from predators, shared resources, and kept you alive. Today, sports are essentially modern tribes with better merchandise. When a fan watches their team, their brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. It's the same chemical that strengthens the bond between family members. Their brain is literally tricking them into believing these millionaire athletes are members of their immediate clan. But here's where it gets interesting for you. People who don't obsess over sports often possess what psychologists call lower tribal instincts. Your identity isn't as heavily anchored to group membership. You are likely more individualistic, finding fulfillment within yourself rather than needing to belong to something bigger to feel complete. A 2019 study even found that those with low sports interest show significantly less us versus them thinking, meaning you don't automatically feel hostility toward the other side just because they aren't on yours. It gets even weirder when we look at what's happening inside a sports fanatic's brain during a game. You know that spark of excitement when you're about to open a gift? That's dopamine firing. Sports fans experience these same microdoses of dopamine with every play and every possession. It is, quite literally, addictive. fMRI scans show that watching your team activates the same reward centers as gambling. The kicker is the uncertainty. Because you don't know if the team will win, your brain stays locked in a state of intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive reward schedule known to psychology. It's the same principle that makes slot machines so effective. For you, the non-fan, your dopamine system simply isn't triggered by vicarious competition. Research from the University of Chicago suggests this might even be genetic. Variations in your dopamine receptor genes can actually predict your level of interest in competitive spectator activities. Your indifference to the championship might literally be written in your DNA. There's also a phenomenon called birging, or basking in reflected glory. When a team wins, fans say, "We won." When they lose, they often switch to, "They lost." This is psychological distancing. People who don't obsess over sports are far less likely to engage in this. Your self-concept is more consistent. Because you don't tie your ego to external victories you can't control, your self-esteem tends to be more stable. You don't need a stranger to catch a ball to feel like a winner in your own life. Now, before the comments get heated, this isn't about being better, it's about legitimate psychological differences. Sports fans actually often score higher on certain empathy measures because they practice caring deeply about the struggles of others. So why don't you feel that same empathy for the athletes? It comes down to empathy allocation. Everyone has a limited capacity for deep emotional investment. While fans direct that energy toward the narrative of the game, you likely direct yours elsewhere, toward social causes, personal relationships, creative projects, or intellectual challenges. A 2021 study found that people with low sports interest often score significantly higher in openness to experience and a love for art and beauty. You're still seeking that same sense of connection and transcendence. You're just finding it in a novel, a scientific discovery, or a quiet sunset. Your brain is seeking meaning through direct engagement rather than parasocial investment. You prefer to invest energy where there is reciprocity, where your care actually affects the outcome. For some, not caring about sports is even a defense mechanism against aggressive competitiveness. For others, it's just a preference for the real over the narrative. But the takeaway is this: if you don't care about the game, you aren't missing a fundamental human experience. You're just calibrated differently. Your reward system, your tribal instincts, and your empathy are focused on your own life struggle rather than someone else's. There is something quietly radical about being fully present in your own journey. So the next time someone asks, "Did you see the game?" and you genuinely couldn't care less, remember, you're not broken, you're not boring. You're just playing a different game, one that might, just maybe, have higher stakes. If this resonated with you, you'll probably love finding out why quiet people process information completely differently than everyone else. Click one of these videos to find out why your different brain is actually your biggest advantage.